Have you thought about visiting a national park using your Tesla and you're worried about range anxiety? The takeaway message here is that you can take a Tesla to a national park or to the middle of nowhere where charging station is limited. It just requires a little planning. And I want to give you 5 things that you should consider before taking a trip to a national park. And one is knowing exactly the location you will be visiting within the park and knowing the route really well where you will be entering the park and exiting the park. That's one. Once you figure that out, you will know how many miles that will be by entering that within your GPS system. And you can calculate that by going directly into your Tesla and seeing if the Tesla will show you have enough range to make it back home. If it doesn't, then number 2 is where you will get that extra charge within the park or within the surrounding area of the park. Usually national park don't have charging station, at least for now, at least not for the 2 parks that we visit recently, Sequoia and Yosemite. You will have to rely on a local restaurant or a hotel where they have destination charger or even a level 2 charging station. You don't want to rely on a 120 outlets unless you're really desperate. But figuring out where you plan to stop for that additional charge, you want to pre-enter that address into your navigation. And this is number 3. Pre-entering the address in your navigation will allow you to still use your navigation even if you have no internet connection, no LTE connection, which in most cases, 99.9%, once you're in the heart of the national park, you will have no LTE connection from your car. So you won't have access to search for anything in your GPS system, and your phone reception will be off the grid. So you're literally off the grid. And by entering the address before you enter the park, it pre-saves the directions and the address, so you can still use it as long as you don't search for any other address when you have no network connection. Then number 4 is have a backup map. Have a Thomas Guide, a printout map where in case if your GPS did not save that preset address, you can always rely on the Thomas Guide. You just have to pull over, figure out where you currently are, and figure how you can get to that destination. So I recommend having a Thomas Guide, highlight, mark up that map where you plan to stop, where you plan to visit, and where you plan to get that additional charge to be able to make it back home. And the last thing, the 5th, is just feel confident that your Tesla calculation within the map is accurate, because when you're going up the hill, when you start entering the national park, you might panic a little bit because the range that you lose, for us, we were losing about 6 miles of range per mile driven. By the time we got into the park, the car stated we only had maybe 40%. So that means we won't make it back at all. Like we were 10% under unless you get charging within the park or surrounding area of the park. But when the Tesla is going downhill and you set regenerative braking to standard, you get about 60 to 70% of that range back. And as long as you coast down the hill and when I say coast down, let the car regenerate energy and try not to accelerate too much going down the hill, you create so much energy back into the battery that eventually you might not even need that extra charge, especially if you have 100D. So hopefully this information is helpful, and if you have any other suggestion, definitely put it down in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time.